Why, hello everyone, Sean here, and welcome to my review for Wonder Woman 84. I did watch this indeed on the streaming service, which is, HBO Max, right? I just got that because there's a deal going on. I think it's going to last till sometime in January 2021, so if you want to go ahead and give it a try, I would give it a try now, just because you can save money and stuff like that for 6 months, and then from there on you're going to be paying regular pricing from there. So from January to all the way to June, basically you're saving up to like what 20%, and so you're going to be saving money there, and that's a pretty good amount of time. It's like a one-time thing for the 6 months, and then they'll automatically renew you for the rest of your subscription or time, in case you want to keep it forever and stuff like that. But anyway, so check it out. It's not a sponsored video or anything like that. I just wanted to give you guys a tip, looking out for those deals or anything like that. Anyway, I did watch Wonder Woman 84 as my start for my subscription with HBO Max. So 84 was, to kind of sum things up real quickly, Wonder Woman 84 was a film that just had very much trouble trying to like keep itself together. The individual scenes were, well produced, blah blah blah. They unfortunately were not held together. It fell through the sort of basics of a movie where you put scenes together and they're supposed to sort of mean something as a whole, right? It's supposed to sort of connect with each other in some way or some shape or form. Even Pulp Fiction, those scenes out of order, despite being that, they somehow work together. It's still a pulp. It's held together somehow, right? I think this film, where it failed most, was trying to keep itself together, or even try to be a well-structured movie. It just felt like, it just felt like a gingerbread house, let's just say, just because it's the holidays still. This felt like a gingerbread house being held with, instead of icing, it was like some low grade, watery concoction of icing, or someone used Elmer's glue instead to glue the house together. I mean, it's gross, right? And no one's gonna enjoy that house, let's just say. I think select people will. I mean, if you want to just look at it, right? But if you look at the structure of things, yeah, if you want to, if you try to break the movie down, then you may have a breakdown yourself. That's the least I can say, right, for the film. It really failed to do that, and that's like one of the basics of a film, right? So in a sense, is this a bad film? I would say, after coming out from watching this movie right here in the comfort of my room instead of the theater, I can definitely say I'm leaning more towards that it's a bad film. I mean, whether you think it's the worst film, that's really up to you, of course. But I personally don't really think that way. I don't feel strongly towards that sort of feeling. It's kind of hard to explain. I have very, very mixed feelings. That's the layman's terms for it, right? For how I feel. The movie felt like there were two movies. There are two stories being told here. One was with Wonder Woman, and one was with Pedro Pascal playing a character who wanted to wish to become the best just so his son can be proud of him and be proud of being his son. It really felt like two movies kind of mashed together forcefully, and it really did not work out. You were supposed to look forward to Wonder Woman, but it just felt to me like I was watching another movie, essentially. So it could have been this really interesting story about a wishing sort of disaster movie, right? But it kind of clashed with Wonder Woman. I mean, I know that Cheetah got her powers from a wish, sure, so I guess there's some sort of connection there. Really, otherwise, I don't know. It just like I said before, like the whole structure didn't really hold together. There are some good things from the film that I see, and I want to get those out of the way first without spoiling things. And even with the bad side of things, I want to talk about. I'm not gonna spoil things until later on. There is a couple of things I do want to spoil anyway, so I don't think this whole video is gonna take too long. But anyway, so just wanted to get the good things out of the way. So the one of the good things I do see is just all the bits with Wonder Woman, of course. All the bits with Wonder Woman, as the film is titled, thankfully they are pretty good. They're enjoyable. That's the parts I was engaged the most. The parts with Diana and with Gal Gadot's performance, once again, pretty convincing as Wonder Woman, aka Diana. I think she is pretty much at this point Wonder Woman. So I want to give my praise once again for Gal Gadot's performance, of course, with the given material in this film, or for this film, and in comparison to other things in the film, I enjoyed her the most. Besides her loved one, her love interest, Trevor, right, with Chris Pine, and I think that's his name, Trevor, right? Anyway. That I enjoyed his parts as well, although his part was quite big, right? A little too big, maybe for some people, but the action scenes were really good in my opinion. I mean, again, comparing to the other things in the movie, I did enjoy the action scenes, including the beginning and of course the White House scene. Although the fight I enjoyed the least was unfortunately the big final battle, right? You've seen in the trailer with Wonder Woman and Cheetah. So Cheetah and Wonder Woman, unfortunately, I didn't enjoy it as much. I will get to that more in detail later on. But yeah, to say the least, I could not enjoy it as much as the other fight scenes. Other performances I do want to, give mention was Pedro Pascal's performance as Max Lord. I did find his performance, entertaining, and to some degree engaging, especially by the end of things. His performance was great. I enjoyed his presence. He really gave off the charismatic sort of businessman sort of vibe. I think he was having fun with that role. You can kind of see it in his voice. You can kind of hear it. You kind of see it in his face and his eyes, right? I don't know. Something about it that it seemed like you can see Mr. Pascal enjoying the role. So he was kind of just really having fun with that. He was kind of doing all the gestures and everything. Just, what I mean? Now, Barbara, that's it could be a mixed bag, but I have not, dove into the whole lore behind Cheetah. So I can't say like, oh, this is far off from the comics or whatever. But from what I understand, probably seems like it's kind of far off from the comics, maybe a little too far off to the point where, a lot of people who are fans of the DC comics, or at least with Cheetah and Wonder Woman anyway, are quite angry about it because of how this character was handled. I do want to point out the whole argument about this trope, this character trope, the outcast character sort of being overdone or something like that. Now, I don't know. I don't see that as a point of criticism, in my opinion. I do find it weird because there's a lot of stories or just anything really that have outcasts and stuff like that. It might be just from like a select few on Twitter that was arguing about that. There was someone who kind of complained about female outcast, nerdy, whatever characters being overused, and then someone pointed out that hey, male characters are done like that way too, right? So it's from like Amazing Spider-Man. You can even take it on to like beyond like movies and move that point over to anime or manga, whatever. My Hero Academia does the same thing. If you think about it, Midoriya is an outcast. He's one of the few that didn't have a quirk or superpowers, so he's an outcast himself, right? The outcast thing is it's common in these stories and whatever films and TV series or cartoons or whatever. So it just makes the character stick out more. It makes him more memorable. It's more distinguishable, you know. So I don't really see that whole outcasting as a complaint. That's just my point of view of things anyway. I don't know why. I don't really see why that should be a negative point or anything like that. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out for you guys. But anyway, her being an outcast, whatever, I didn't really have a problem with. It's just that a lot of the things in the film were the problem. Like, I think it's possible to overlook that part of the whole outcast thing with Barbara, and look at the other problems, right? Like the whole, I guess I'm gonna go into it. The whole structure of the film. There was just scene after scene after scene, and it felt like it just was filler. A lot of it was just there. It was kind of just there, or you know what I mean? Like it didn't really quite held itself together as an effective film. And it really failed to tell a story to keep a lot of people engaging. It seemed like I was kind of falling out of it at some point. I was kind of like start to drift away, and then I kind of start paying my attention back to the movie. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of those scenes are like that, and it just overall wasn't able to kind of tell an effective story. I think that's like one of the biggest problems they had in the film, if not the biggest problem. Also, there's just a lot of things that just don't make sense. It just, again, it kind of adds to the whole structure. You know, there are a lot of things that don't make sense. It puts you out of belief, right? And yeah, and then there are times where, yes, you know, it's a movie, but even this kind of takes this too far. I can't really explain that without spoiling things, but just know that the film essentially fails to kind of keep itself together, right? But by the end of it, you know, it's all fine and dandy, I guess. But there was one cool cameo that I will talk about in the spoiler section of things, and that was sadly probably the first or second coolest scene in the entire movie, right? Besides all the action scenes and fight scenes with Wonder Woman, or the action scenes, right? Those things were the scenes that I enjoyed the most. So that's pretty much like all I have without spoiling things. To summarize, right? So overall, yes, the Wonder Woman bits were enjoyable, right? For the most part. However, the movie itself failed to keep itself together and actually form a bond with, you know, all the other scenes, connecting with each other, or try to connect with each other, but it really quite didn't. And there's just a lot of things that just don't make sense, especially with the big plot points and stuff. And with that, there are a lot of plot holes in this movie, man. Like, I know movies have its weird things and plot holes are about to be had, but again, this movie takes it way too far. It's pretty extreme with these plot holes, or plot holes, but they might as well be potholes right on the road. You want to avoid them, but when you hit them, it's like, oh, you know, like kind of get that nasty bump on your car or whatever. But anyway, that's all I gotta say. If I were to give this a rating, unfortunately, you know, at first when I talked to my friend Danny, who also watched the film, and he just said it's okay. You know, he gave it like a 6.5 out of 10. I said a 6 out of 10, which was pretty close at the time. But now, the more I think about it, the more it kind of sets in. Yeah, I think this is pretty much a 5 out of 10, if I'm being honest. Like, while yes, the scenes were well shot, there's some color to it, right? The movie looked good. It did look enjoyable for the most part, with the exception of some cutscenes, especially the final battle of things. And the CGI was very rough on the edges. The rest of the film was well shot, I guess. So gotta go in the middle, man. 5 out of 10. That's for me. There were some things I did enjoy, but a lot of things that did hold me back from really enjoying it fully as a movie. And again, I'm just really glad I was able to watch it on my own TV screen rather than having my going out my way through the pandemic, and try to do the social distancing thing and watch it in the theaters. I would have been very much disappointed. So I think that helped, if I'm being honest here. All right, so that's pretty much my non-spoiler review. So I'm going to go into the spoilers of things, explaining the major plot points anyway, and how I feel about them. So thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I'll be back with the spoiler section real soon. Okay, so this is the spoiler portion of things. I won't go through the entire movie, but I would like to talk about the plot points anyway that I wanted to give my opinion on, wanted to express my feelings, because there's just a lot of things that didn't make sense. And like I said, there are a lot of plot holes, and oh my gosh, it was pretty extreme. So, it's just one of those films where the more you think about it, the more it hurts. The more painful it becomes. But there are just other things that people pointed out, and for example, the character of Wonder Woman was butchered here. Her being independent and stuff like that. She doesn't need a man in her life, that sort of thing. Having her experience love in the first film was acceptable, right? She learned the concept of love, I guess, with a man. And then at that point, I think she's supposed to, get over that, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, this could be a complaint that's valid for like the hardcore DC fans. I'm just a casual, comic book hero sort of fan. Marvel Comics too. That's the same thing. I'm not too familiarized with Wonder Woman lore. I just know that she's like a goddess. She is a daughter of Zeus, and she's very powerful. Let's just say that much. And she has the lasso of truth, which, yes, when she lassos around a bad guy, they, give in and tell the truth, or kind of, become the good doer, I guess. But not only they speak the truth, they see the truth. I think that's maybe that's something new for the film. I don't know, just for the sake of visual eye candy, that sort of thing. It kind of reminds me of the Ghost Rider's penance stare. Get to see all your sins, but with this one, you have to see the truth as well as speaking of it. Anyway, so I guess it's supposed to, this in a sense does butcher her character quite a bit of needing a man in her life. Usually not so in the comic books or whatever. She's pretty tough about it. But if you think about it though, what about those the Justice League stuff? She has her relationship with Batman, or AKA Bruce Banner. You know what I mean? Like, so what's going on there? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't people pointing that out? Maybe they did. I don't know. I mean, no one didn't bring up about the whole thing with Batman and Wonder Woman. Like, I'm pretty sure they have a pretty good relationship, right? Or a pretty romantic relationship. But I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the big picture here. But anyway, just wanted to point that out. I'm not sure I have that as my complaint. My big complaint is that the movie itself isn't quite well structured and didn't quite get me engaged with the story. So anyway, get that thought out of the way. But anyway, the bits I wanted to point out here that, to really let out my complaint can, I guess, open up, was the whole thing with the wishing thing. The Rock, it just didn't make sense to me, right? Like, this concept within this movie, which is all over the place, I think. But the basic rule is that you have this one wish, and you touch the stone, and you make a wish, and it essentially becomes like the monkey's paw. So, meaning if you make a wish, right? Yes, it will be guaranteed to be granted to you, but without you sort of knowing it, or without making it clear, something of equal value gets taken away from you. So let's just say, in this case, this is the spoiler section here. So Wonder Woman, although she didn't say she wished her love interest to come back, Trevor or whatever, to come back, it happened, right? So that's like the first thing that went wrong. And then secondly, why is Trevor not himself? He's like in another dude's body, right? Maybe because it wasn't a complete wish. She didn't say it, I guess. She said it in her mind. She kind of expressed it, indirectly. So maybe this indirect thing resulted in this wish not being complete, I guess. But still, it came at a price of Wonder Woman's powers being slowly drained, and rather than just being taken away, as a whole, like right away. But it just slowly disappears. It's not like someone wished for something, and then this thing that they had to pay the price for slowly disappeared. You know what I mean? Like, it only happened with Wonder Woman, and then later on, Barbara, aka Cheetah, for some reason or somehow, she got 2 wishes rather than 1, right? She had Wonder Woman's powers, essentially. They're like, she wanted to be like Diana. That was her wish. And then I guess the price for her was her humanity, her kindness, her warmth, her heart, essentially. So she became a bad guy out of that. I guess that's one way to do it, but that kind of adds to more of that unengaging story, in my opinion. Also, later on in the film, she wanted to become the apex predator. Number 1. That's essentially that was her second wish, somehow. I mean, I guess at that point, I know I'm like jumping all over the place, but Max Lord, he became the stone itself. So I guess, in a way, you can't break the rules, I guess, but I don't know. It just didn't make sense. If you're going to break the rules, might as well, like, go beyond it, right? If you're going to go take this whole rule-breaking route, go beyond it, right? Just to really show, hey, he can't break the rules. He is, he may have the stone's powers, but he is himself also, so he can, like, manipulate the wishing and stuff like that somehow in some way. But anyway, Max Lord had the most interesting wish, in my opinion, which was to become the stone itself. So he's the one granting wishes now. He is the one in control, in a way. And, he can take away something from the person making the wish. So at some point, he was talking to some investor, right? And then the investor wished for this, and then in turn, Max wanted to take his shares, his stock, and all that stuff that he owned, and then he just disappeared somehow, right? And then lo and behold, it came true, right? But the wish came true, but Max's price also came true as well. So the guy got arrested for tax evasion anyway, so he got fucked. Essentially, he got pretty fucked. So that there is pretty cool. I do like those concepts, but it just didn't really add to Wonder Woman. I think so. The basic concept is that if you wish for something, there's going to be something taken away from you. So it's equivalent exchange, alchemy, Full Metal Alchemist. There you go. If you want a sort of comparison here, but there are a lot of rules broken, and maybe just because Max Lord is behind it, right? So maybe he's the one is able to sort of manipulate those rules or put a loophole on things. I don't know, but a lot of people were complaining about that. People were complaining about the whole thing with the invisible jet. I mean, I don't know. I felt like they could have done something better with that, of how she makes the invisible jet or gets the invisible jet. I don't know. I think the old cartoon was funny from Justice League or Justice Friends from a long time ago, because Wonder Woman has an invisible jet there, and yet you can see the people piloting the thing. So it's kind of like you just imagine just a person just floating through the sky at supersonic speeds. You know what I mean? So it's like it really defeats the purpose of an invisible jet when they can see you. So it's like, all right, it kind of defeats the purpose. But anyway, at least it cloaks all of them inside, right? But how it happened is kind of maybe it could have been better. But again, I'm not too familiar with the lore, so I'm not sure how the invisible jet even comes to existence in the first place. Is it some sort of Greek magic or something like that that she gets from the gods, or does she make the invisible jet herself? I don't know. Is it like from a tool that she gets from the Greek gods or whatever, or I just say gods at this point, from the gods? I'm not too sure. So leave that as you will. If you want to complain about it, go ahead. If you don't, then that's fine too. But it did feel a little weird because Wonder Woman is supposed to be weaker, right? Because she's losing her powers slowly. But at this point, she's supposed to be pretty weak, right? Considerably weak. And she said that she was only able to make this mug invisible. But it's like, with her weakened state, she was able to make this whole jet invisible. This supersonic jet, or whatever. I think it's supersonic. But anyway, it's pretty fucking fast. And big. A lot bigger than a mug. So think about that. And it's like, again, like the more you think about it, it comes so much worse. It's not even fun. It becomes worse. Funny in some parts, but worse for the most part. But anyway, so there's that part alone. The parts with Trevor trying to catch up with the times was pretty funny. With the escalator and then the trash can, haha, right? That's from the trailer. The fashion, right? That's also from the trailer. See, a lot of the good parts are in the trailer. It's like, it's so unfortunate, but that's how they do it nowadays. So then, okay, so I guess I'll jump to this point, right? This is like one of the biggest ones I have the most complaints about. So Max Lord goes to the president's office, in the White House. And as silly as that whole thing was, just the fact that, he's now able to communicate with the whole world, the whole particle beam thing and the communications and all that stuff. He goes to the bunker, right? Because he's now president, because he I don't know, he made the president wish for something, and then he took away his presidency and took that for himself. In a way, he's kind of using the other people's wishes to make it his own. So that's like, again, that's a very cool, interesting concept of things, which is why it could have been another movie in the first place. Anyway, so after this happened, he becomes the president, right? Max Lord. And then with the new technology or whatever, which was left out in the open, the president's office, for whatever reason, again, another plot hole here, even though these things are supposed to be in like a secret room or whatever, a secret meeting room that's sealed off, guarded, and all that stuff. It's just a lot of sense that was not being made here. And it just doesn't add up as a funny movie. Anyway, where was I? Right, so we jump to the point where Max Lord does a speech. He broadcasts worldwide, right, with using this new technology, and then somehow he is able to grant people's wishes, even though the rule is that he has to be touching them, just like a person is touching the stone to make the wish, just like everyone else. Early on in the film, he wanted to obviously broadcast his, I guess, pitch. I don't know. Broadcast himself so that everyone could be touching him even though this is all based off of a figure of speech that the previous president made, right? He's just like, he even said it himself. He's just like, no, this is a figure of speech. But somehow it worked. And his wish, he can grant all these wishes now, and he can take away what was valuable to them because they're making the wish. And that alone is like just like, what the heck is going on here at this point? It's just one of the moments early on that became the point where the movie starts to fall apart, and that's where it lost me for a moment. Maybe it's the invisible jet, maybe it's something else, but definitely here, like the whole point from the touching thing, it just becomes pointless. Like it just doesn't make sense too, because he should have figured out at some point that he can just talk to people and grant the wishes from there. So he could have, he could have just like went outside, made him look like he was like the president of whatever of his company, right? He is the founder or whatever, right? CEO, executive officer, whatever. The big man of his company, Black Gold, which is funny because that's supposed to be what oil is, because he's supposed to be an oil king. Anyway, he could have just broadcast his speech from there with speakers and all that stuff. In theory, he could have made wishes from there, but I guess if you want to counteract that point, maybe he's just learning things. That's how as time goes on, he learns more and more about his powers or whatever. So I guess, but at the same time, it just, I don't know, it just seems way out of line. It just becomes way out of disbelief, or it becomes way beyond disbelief, even for a movie or whatever. So again, it just goes to the point where the story just becomes uninteresting. You know what I mean? But anyway, chaos breaks out, and then meanwhile, Wonder Woman was going to lose her powers, right? But then, at some point, she becomes selfish, which breaks her character because she's supposed to be independent, need a man in her life. But again, I made the argument with Batman, but whatever. But a lot of people complain about that. But anyway, Wonder Woman has a hard time letting go Trevor, but comes to the point where Trevor just like, it's time to let it go, and for the sake of the world, they need you, they deserve you more than I deserve you, or whatever, however the speech went. And so Diana had to let go of her love interest in order to gain her powers back. She regenerated her wounds, right? She recovered from her wounds, and she essentially, I guess, learned how to fly. It's kind of like Zahir from Avatar, right? I guess that's spoilers, but at this point it's pretty old. Wow, it makes me feel old. But anyway, Zahir, once his love interest died, he was able to let go of the last earthly tether so he can fly. With Wonder Woman, it's kind of funny of how that played out. It reminds me of Zahir. But anyway, she starts flying. She lassos around the lightning, which that was in the trailer, right? She lassos around the jet, so I guess she can like maneuver faster. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of weird logic of traveling, you know what I mean? So it just seems like they're teleporting around places to place, especially with the jet thing, with Diana and Trevor coming back from Egypt. Even like Barbara was like, "Wow, that was fast!" Like, what? They could have literally just said, "Oh, we had to do some creative ways to get some jet fuel, man." Like, that could have been funny, like, and left that to the person's imagination of how that went. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so there's the final battle at some point. She fights Cheetah. She becomes a cheetah because, again, she wished to be the apex predator, so cheetah, right? When it comes to Cheetah's look, yeah, I don't know. I felt mixed about it. I wasn't very enthused about it. Because kind of funny because it kind of brings people back to Cats, the musical movie that people love to make fun of, and it's a CGI very rough on the edges fest, unfortunately. It just wasn't a very engaging fight. I didn't feel for it. It was a final battle too, so that sucked. I just couldn't get into it, you know what I mean? No, there's barely any practical effects going on there with Cheetah at that point. It just lost me. And there was the whole thing with the how she got defeated, which was, they were both in the water, and there was a hot wire from one of the towers, right? And it's about to hit the water. And, Wonder Woman wanted Cheetah to take back her wish, to renounce her wish. And, of course, Cheetah said no, because Cheetah, or Barbara, wanted to keep those powers because she felt she became someone, worth something in the world, that it goes back to the whole outcast thing, whatever. But the wire then hits the water after Diana says sorry, whatever. She saw the wire coming, so she planned that out, and she is defeated there. She gets shocked. Doesn't get killed, surprisingly. I actually really thought they were going to kill off Cheetah right then and there. But no, Cheetah is dead, but Barbara is alive, I guess, if you want to be metaphorical about it. But somehow Diana is unharmed, Wonder Woman was unharmed, I guess because the armor, right? And then it comes to the point where the real final battle starts, I guess, with Max Lord, and then he starts to grant all these other wishes, right? Because he gains power somehow by granting wishes and whatever, right? Taking the prices and all that stuff. I guess that's how he gains power. So he was overpowering Wonder Woman at some point. She was just like, stuck on the wall, like just even though Max can literally just like snap her out of existence, I guess. At that point, he's like the genie at that point, right? I think that's what he could have done, but anyway, he kept her there because whatever. He could have wished her away, essentially. And then whatchamacall. Of course, though, his son, he's reminded of. He starts to feel the guilt, and he then renounces his wish. So that was essentially it. And then, but before that, of course, he was lassoed without him knowing it. And Wonder Woman had her speech, and then, Max was just like, yeah, your speech is useless, blah blah blah. You ain't gonna get to me. But she was just like, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to everyone else. Because he was broadcasting himself, and then because he was tied with the lasso of truth, the power of truth was being broadcasted to the rest of the world, and it somehow made everyone else undo their wish or whatever. At least most people did, which that kind of sucked. But because what if some people had selfless wishes, but then they're just forced to undo their wish because everyone else kind of fucked it up. So it's like, I don't know. This whole story is fucked up in the first place, but yeah. So that happened, and then now this world is saved, yay, somehow. But before that, of course, there's that genuine moment with Max and his son. And again, that could have been a whole nother movie. Like, it could have been a completely separate movie of its own, or like a little mini series. I don't know, on HBO. But it had to be stuck in here with Wonder Woman just to fill out the time. And so, so after that, I don't know what happens to Barbara, but I don't know. She's not Cheetah anymore. That's it. Diana is just now back to herself, of course, with all her powers intact or returned. And then, it's Christmas time, and now the person that Trevor was borrowing the body from or whatever, he's himself, and now they kind of start to talk to each other, right? The guy and Diana, which is kind of weird because isn't this Diana supposed to fall in love with Bruce Banner later on? Like, I don't know. I think they are still trying to keep that, right? So I don't know. Maybe they break up at some point or whatever, or maybe he dies. I don't know. Later on, which is why she kind of moves on to Bruce Banner. I don't know. Anyway, so I guess that's pretty much it for the movie. But then there's that last very cool cameo made by the old actress for the original the first Wonder Woman TV series long time ago. I think it was like during the 70s. I think it's Linda Parker, right? If I'm getting her name right. Linda Carter, excuse me. Linda Carter made her cameo role. She was Hysteria or something like that. Hysteria. She was the woman, the Amazonian that wore the armor that later Wonder Woman wore. And she drove off all the Spartans, right, to keep the Amazonians safe, or the women safe, by sacrificing herself somehow. But then, yeah, it turned out that she didn't get killed from that event, and now is living amongst the people, and then makes a cool cameo that way. Maybe she'll lend a hand somewhere in the Justice League saga. I don't know. We'll see about that. And so yeah, that's how the spoilers or the story wraps up for real. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry if I was all over the place and then whatever, and I couldn't really keep my thoughts well structured like this movie here. But that's just kind of how I feel about it. That's how the nature is of things for this movie. So I guess that's appropriate for this case. Well, anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. Like all the major points I pointed out. Oh, there is one thing I do want to point out. One of the fight scenes did use quite a bit of CGI. When she kind of like ran out of the car from Trevor as Trevor was driving it, that looked a little rough there. But then there was that part with Wonder Woman saving the two kids that were on the road. Oh my god, it looks so bad, or just ridiculously like funny, because you can definitely see that she's like tumbling with like dolls or something. They're like dummies. It looked pretty bad. Like it could have done a shot, to make it more convincing without making it look ridiculous with the dolls or whatever. It just looked really bad. It looked really stiff. When she was tumbling with the kids, right, to keep them safe from, the fall, and like it just looked really bad in that part. I had a good laugh on the inside, man. It was just funny for all the wrong reasons, and it's just, man, what a shot that was. I think that was like the worst shot in the entire movie, in my opinion. A lot of the CGI again was really rough, but one of the more produced parts was her flying. It's really hard to make a convincing shot of people flying nowadays, or even back then, of course. But even now, it's still kind of hard because just that sense of belief, right? But here, at least it was pretty well done, I think. I like the whole scene with her just starting to get why people like flying, why Trevor liked flying. Why was he so passionate about it, about flying, being a pilot in the first place. He loved the wind in his hair. He just loved the freedom of things. And so, Wonder Woman understands, I guess, or respects it at least, and starts flying around herself. She starts to really feel it, and it made it for a convincing scene. I did like that part in the movie. So, but yeah, that's all I got for realsies for this review, with the spoilers out of the way now. So that's pretty much all I got for Wonder Woman. Again, it's a 5 out of 10. It's right in the middle. It's got some good parts, but man, As a movie, it fails to be entertaining or engaging, to me anyway. So it's a 5 out of 10 for me again. So I don't think I've given the movie that low of a score in a while now. So I don't know. I gotta look back on things. But anyway, that's Wonder Woman 84. Hopefully there will be more movies for me to review in the coming new year, 2021. But with HBO Max and what HBO is doing or Warner Brothers is doing and all the other companies are connected with this, they're putting it all on HBO Max along with theatrical releases. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome in this time and age. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing for the most part, even for Godzilla versus Kong. As much as I love that movie, I would love to check that out in theaters. I think I'm going to do that in the comfort of my home. So just to be safe, but it all depends on the situation too. If it dies down, maybe I'll go out. But we'll see about that. So anyways, that's all I got for Wonder Woman 84. That's my review and the spoiler thoughts and all that stuff in between. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Really helps out. Really appreciate it, guys. And leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And and all that fun stuff. So don't forget to hit the bell to notify all. That is definitely how you get to see more videos from me on this channel. So thank you guys so much. Hope to do more reviews like these for more stuff. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video in the next year, I guess. So happy New Year's, happy holidays, and all that stuff. And hopefully everyone had a Merry Christmas and all the other holidays. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Sean out.